Today on the 5-Minute Sales Training, the attitude of sales leaders. Stick around. Welcome, everyone, once again to the 5-Minute Sales Training. So glad to have you with us here. You want to hit that like button real quick? We'd sure appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about the attitude of sales leaders. And to do that, we're going to bring on Janet Havel. I've known Janet for a long time, and she's one of the most optimistic and strategically positive people that I've ever met. Janet, you're in Austin, always the weirdest place in the world, but particularly weird over the last couple of years. And we've seen this big shift now in Austin. And sometimes when you see a big market shift, and for you being in the real estate space, then you see an attitude shift that happens along with it. And so how do you protect that attitude? What do you do for you and for the people that you lead to make sure that we're not going to allow ourselves to be mental victims of the market?
Sure. I think first and foremost, it starts at your sales rally, regardless of what day of the week you have them. We have them here on Mondays, making sure that when they come in, we've got the right atmosphere. It's upbeat. Everything's, we try to keep it as positive as possible. But I also pride myself on being radically transparent. And I think it's important as a sales leader, as you're talking to sales folks, that you're real with them. Hey, we see what's going on. We know what's happening in the market, but tell me, how are you doing? What's going on? And for years, you and I've always talked about, our number one job is lead conversion. That is still true. But I think right now, lead retention or backlog retention is just as important because they're getting beat up every day out there.
You tired of getting beat up?
Right. Yeah, there's no question about it. And that, too, is a function of attitude, right? The attitude that we bring to our customers. Can you talk a little bit about it from that angle? The idea that attitude, energy, vibe, it's all adopted, whether it's positive or negative. How do you see that?
Yeah, I agree. I think arming them with knowledge helps a ton. Sales folks sit in their models, and a lot of times they're in a vacuum, right? They're on an island in a vacuum. So arming them with, hey, here's what we're going to talk about this week. And our big focus has been fighting the headlines. So providing them with 2 headlines from reputable media sources that conflict with each other. Okay, so if buyer A comes in and they just so happen to read the good one, right? What do you talk through? Buyer B comes in, maybe they didn't, so we role play a lot. I'm going to come in and say, well, I've heard now is a horrible time to buy. Go. So we obviously want to practice that in advance.
Practice.
Yeah. Well, you're actually not just talking about what we're going to tell our buyers. You're like, let's hear you do it. Because it's one of the things that I find interesting. A lot of salespeople, frankly, practice on their buyers. I think that's a little rude, a little disrespectful.
I agree. And the same thing is true of me and my sales leader, Demetria. We will practice together. Okay, if I'm going to get up in front of my team at a sales rally and I'm going to say this, or this is my takeaway of the week, how do I want to deliver it? What are the questions that they're going to ask me, or they could potentially ask me? The same is true of our buyers. We owe it to them to be prepared. We owe it to our teams to be prepared.
There is a string here, a cascade of positive energy, right? We want our sales professionals to give that to our customers. They have to get it from somewhere. They take their cue from the sales leaders. And so as a sales leader, you've got to give out positive energy all day long. So what are you doing to protect your own mental energy and to make sure that you are in the right mental space, that your head is in the game, so that by the time you're talking to one of your salespeople, they can see that, they can feel it, and then they actually adopt that?
For me, it's always being prepared. I like to be prepared. I read a lot. I actually do send my sales team the 5-minute sales tips on Saturday morning. I think it's a great way for them to start their weekend. I do the same thing, whether that's a podcast, a book. Sometimes it's just music for me. Music kind of speaks to my soul. And I know that as a sales leader, I can't pour from an empty cup. So there's times I have to protect it. And a lot of times that's spending time with my grandkids, my husband, or just sitting on the back porch, just being quiet.
Right. But just refueling the tank so that you've got that positive energy to be able to give out there.
It sounds like you need to come down and refuel.
What what advice do you have for a salesperson who's really struggling right now? Right, the sales are few and far between. They're battling to save sales they've already made. This is not what they signed up for when they joined the industry a short time ago, and they've never seen a down market. What advice do you have for a salesperson who's really, really being challenged mentally right now?
I say ask for help. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, I've never experienced this, whatever this is, whether it's a backlog challenge, a conversion challenge, a headline challenge. As a team, I think whether that's you're reaching out to someone on your team, I think you have to be careful, reach out to the right person, the positive person, the one that's going to bring you positive energy, and they're going to provide actionable items, not just, hey, let's sit here and gripe at each other, right? So I think asking for help from a peer, a sales leader, a mentor, you can't be afraid to sit out there on your island because you're not going to grow and get better that way.
Right. It's good advice. And I know that's advice that you live out, Janet, because you and I, we've known each other for a lot of years. And you are one of the people that I reach out to if I need a little mental boost. And so it's always good to have those people in your life. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I know you're not either. So it's good words to live by. Janet Havel, always good spending time with you. Thanks for all you do. Go out and change someone's world.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. I told you she was optimistic. She's positive, and it's adopted, right? You can't hang around Janet without feeling a little bit. I hope that describes you, sales leader. I hope that describes you, frontline salesperson, because that positive energy is going to carry us through even the darkest days. Thanks for watching another 5-minute sales training. Until next time, learn more to earn more.